Hi folks, welcome back to Delboy's Garage, and in the garage today we have the new bike. The XR1200 has gone, mate Kerry's taken delivery, very happy. This is the 883 Iron that I've got in part exchange. It's got cool 50s style checker seat, loads of other little extras which as time goes on you'll kind of see as we do different videos. Just rode it today, got some initial mileage done, went out with wife on her Sportster, and we had a little chat round, and I found that there was a little bit of primary chain noise just sort of clattering as you ride along, so I want to check that. This bike has been serviced at non-Harley dealers, so that's the garages that you find that do a great value service. I think you pay 160 quid for a service that's usually 350, so it's a great deal, but we need to make sure that they've done things properly, because you know me, OCD, I like to make sure it's correct. So this primary chain, this has done 11,500 miles, so that primary chain should have been definitely checked and adjusted at about 10,000 miles. And the clutch just seems to be biting right on the edge, and I have a theory that this has been adjusted back to front. So I'm going to have a little look in the primary chain and find out what's amiss. See what happens. Okay, right. Primary chain adjustment is quite important. It has to be done at 10,000 miles. And the book, as we know, the Bible, here, this is the adjustment. You simply have to adjust the slack in the centre of the gap between the clutch and the crank, and it's that slack there is what we're adjusting on the primary chain. If that gets too slack, that flaps up and down too much, and up here in the casing, as it flaps up and down too much, which it sounds like it is, it chews lumps out the casing. It just gnaws the case away, and it's just crap. It's no good. It's got to be correct. So what we have to adjust, it gives us a setting, and with a cold or hot engine, it's a cold engine at the moment, and the free play, that's the distance here, figure 1, between top and bottom must be 3/8 to half an inch, or in English 9.5 to 12.7 mil. So I'm going to try and get that to about 12 mil. Reason being, I like it reasonably slacker. Too tight is no good. Slightly to the slacker side is a little bit better. Just purely because as long as it's not too slack, it's not gnawing lumps out the casing. If it's too tight, then it's pulling too hard on the various ends that it goes round, and the bearings that live in here then start to take the load. And a crank bearing or a clutch bearing, that's a really major job, and I'm not going to be doing that. So I just make sure that the adjustment is correct. I just want to make sure it's within 12, say 11. So let's have a look. Primary adjustment window is here, and to take it off, it's a 532s 530 seconds Allen key. Little thing with Harleys, always use Imperial where it's necessary. There's quite a bit of metric stuff on them these days, but this is not. This is Imperial, and it's important. You just chew these out, they're not very strong. Important to remember, these have a little O-ring which just prevents the oil leaking out. Make sure, it sometimes gets stuck in, so just keep an eye out for it. Take those off, and we're going to get this little hatch off. Don't drop it like that, and if you do, remember, look for the little ring. And the casing just comes off like that. Inside it, sometimes this is the gasket, it'll stay on there, so it doesn't hurt. Just get a little screwdriver, just lift the gasket off, and this is just a board, like a fibre board that just keeps it from splattering off. So a lot of splashing going on there. So that's it. So this is the chain in here, and the adjustment that the book talks about is the movement up and down. Now that already feels way loose. Now there's a clever way to measure it, because obviously you can't gauge exactly, so I've seen this a few times. Take yourself a tape measure. So pop the tape measure on the floor, lock it off, pop the blade up inside and pop it there next to the hole. Then you can use your tape measure as a guide. And looking at this, and getting a bit close, you can see that if I look level, where you touch it So where the bottom of the chain is about 3 1/4 on where I am. If I lift, that's going up 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, nearly 3/4 of an inch. That is way loose. Look at that. That's got a 3/4 of an inch movement. And if we just refer back again to the book, that's got 3/4 inch. I'm allowed 3/8 to 1/2. So that's 1/4 of an inch too much over the maximum. So I'm going to bring it back down to 1/2 inch. So to adjust it is a matter of under here. Now, I can't do it that way. So let me just do this. Okay, the adjuster, sorry about the wobbles, is this doofus here. All you need to do, 7/8 open ender, and just loosen off this nut, which is not massively tight. And once you loosen that off, sorry about the angle, once you loosen that off, all this is a ram that pushes up on a shoe, like a little shoe that's that shape, and the chain just sort of runs over the top of the shoe, a little bit like any cam chain tensioner in a Jap engine. So all we need is a Allen key, 5/16 Allen key, which goes in underneath, because this has got a socket in the end, and then just push it, adjust that in, back off the screw. This jam nut is not really that tight, and it doesn't need to be that tight. So quite simply, get a little bit of slack. It's got an O-ring so it doesn't leak, and just adjust that in. And as you adjust it in, it will push up on the chain and take out the slack. So it's very simple. Back up here while you turn to check as you go. See, that is way out. So, so far out. That's what the noise was on the bike. I'm going to have to take off a bit more of the slack. And then it's really loose, as you can see. It moves with your fingers. So screwdriver again, back up on the chain, and now I can see the chain reducing its movement. So I'm just going to fine tune that, tape measure again in place. Okay, you can see that, and that's going up. It's a little bit too tight. Remember, if it's too tight, that's bad. So hold it at the maximum and then loosen off until it moves up, and that's now moving 1/2 inch, and it's 3/8 to 1/2 inch, so I've come in just a tiny bit more. That's it, there we are, chain's correct. So now it's just a quick case of back under here, hold still on the adjuster itself with your big 7/8 open ender, just tighten that up. Tighten up that lock nut. It doesn't have to be, although it's a massive nut, for some reason it doesn't have to be lent on. You really don't need to give that masses. It's only into an aluminium thread or aluminum thread. Just a little bit of pressure there, just gently, just feel for it, and that's it. That's quite good. There isn't a torque setting in the book for that. Can't find one, so just tightish, and then that comes out. Back up to the job. A really accurate check. Make sure it hasn't moved. Get a check on there. And the chain. And that chain's moving 1/2 inch at most. That's it. That's now correctly adjusted. The important point to note is that the adjustment is at the slackest point. So what you need to do is turn the motor over, simplest way, put it in gear and just turn the back wheel, get it up on a ramp. And as you turn the motor over, you'll see the chain move round. So keep checking it as you go around and find the loosest point. And it's the tightest point you want to adjust it from. Seems a bit back to front, but the the loosest point is no good. It's got to be the tightest, because if you adjust that now to 1/4 inch, move it round and it's like rock tight, you've got a problem. It needs to be at the tightest point, 1/2 inch, and that's what we've just got. So all I need to do now is pop the casing back on. That's that job buttoned up. Thanks ever so much for watching Delboy's Garage. See you next time.